Hey, Savvies, happy Tuesday. I hope that you are having an amazing day today. The sun is bright and shining here in the great state of Texas. So, wherever you are, I hope that you are having an amazing day. As you are jumping on, do me a quick favor, actually, two quick favors. The first one, can you let me know in the comments that you can hear and see me okay, just so I know that all tech is clear and good and working, all those things. And then what I would love for you to do is give StreamYard permission for you to display your name in your picture so I know who's hanging out with me today. First things first, you'll notice that I am not the amazing and beautiful and fabulous Abbey Ashley. She is out of the office today caring for her family. And so I am stepping in and taking care of today's live. And I love being here with you for these types of lives because you guys just get to ask me the questions and I get to answer. So super, super excited to be here with you. Hey, Audrey, thanks for joining me today. All of the things. Hey, Angela. Hey, Krista, so glad that you guys are here with me today. Okay, so I have no agenda, y'all. You guys get to create the agenda and you guys get to ask me anything that you want to know about virtual assistants, about launching, about growing, about scaling your business. And the great thing is there's not going to be an invoice for the time at the end of the today. So you get to ask the questions that you want to ask and get answered. So let's dive right in. I see lots of people jumping on. Super, super glad that you're here. Again, Abby couldn't be with us today, so I'm jumping in and supporting her. She's caring for her family, but I am here for you to answer any questions that you may have. So as you are thinking, drop them in the comments, but first let me ask you a question. What are you celebrating this week? Okay. I know we're still a little early in the week, and that's totally okay. But I want you to think of something that you've accomplished. Maybe it's a new milestone. It could be a birthday. It could be an anniversary, something that you are celebrating. I want us to kick off today's live in a celebratory mood. So let me know in the comments, what are you celebrating this week? And we will all celebrate with you. All right, here is one. I just chose a business name. That's amazing. I know what that feels like to finally have decided what that's going to be and moving forward with that. It's a big decision. So I'm glad that you have landed on that and that you are moving forward with the next step. This one, I got a new client. That's amazing. Facebook user, sorry, I don't know who you are. Tell me, how are you celebrating that new client? If you guys are members or students inside of your product and outside of our products, you know that that's one of my favorite questions to ask. I love to know how you celebrate those new clients, those new wins. And I'd like for you to be specific in your celebration too. Here's another one. I love all these celebrations. Relaunching of my podcast. Oh, that's amazing. That's so fabulous. Launching a podcast is something on my to-do list, bucket list at some time in my life. I hope to do that. So celebrating that with you. Jennifer says, celebrating, I restarted again. Girl, it's okay. We've all been there, done that. My virtual savvy and focusing on my health so I can keep up and keep motivation and believe in myself. Jennifer, that's awesome. I think it's so important that we learn the lesson early in our entrepreneurial life to take care of ourselves, because it can very easily get into the bad habit of where we serve others first, which is a good thing to do, right? But we also have to take care of ourselves, whether it be health related or anything like that, making sure that we take care of ourselves. Oh, so many good celebrations this week. Started transitioning from VA to OBM, completed my resume, new website update and clarification on services and niche. Kayla says, I'm getting my processes in order. Oh my goodness, this is so fabulous. Okay, so let's dive into today and let's get your questions answered. I am here to help and support you, and I've already got some questions coming in. So as we are chatting, if you think of a question, drop them in the comments, and I'm going to do my best to answer as many as I can during our hour together. All right. Angela says, I am a senior EA or executive assistant and launched my own business as a VA. How do I go about getting clients? Oh, Angela, this is an amazing question. Let's dive in, shall we? Okay, first things first, if you haven't already, let me see if I've got a link for you. Actually, I know I have a team member. Go over to our website and you go to thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO. BBO stands for booked out, becoming a booked out assistant. Oh my goodness. Oh heavens, what does BBO stand for? I just literally had a brain elapse. Oh my goodness. Okay, anyway, thevirtualsavvy.com/BBO. Angela, jump over there. It's a free training, 60 minutes, and Abby walks you through how to find clients. But let's talk through some logistics, okay? Some realistic ways. One of the first ways that you can find clients, if you haven't already done this, Angela, is just to talk about your business. Share it with others. Everybody knows at least one business owner. And if you can't think of one business owner, your people that you know, there are connections to business owners, right? So just talking about it. A great example that I have is one day I was going to get my hair done and I was sitting in the salon chair and we were just chatting about life, as you do when you're there. And I was talking about my business. And she's like, oh, hold on. What kinds of things do you do? And I literally not only got my hair done that day, but I left with a new client. So look for those opportunities to just talk about your business. And I don't mean in a salesy, gross, icky way, just as something exciting that you're working on. This transition into becoming a virtual assistant as an experienced executive assistant, right, is something super exciting. So share that with others. You never know what can happen from those conversations. All right, that's the first thing. And you can do that in your general conversations. You becoming booked out. Thank you, y'all. I see them in the comments. I've been with TVS for almost 5 years and I totally lapsed on it. Oh, heavens. Okay, thanks all for the comments. It can look like just talking about it, right? It could also look like sharing it on social media. I know that's a scary thing to do, but think if you can get that message out to not just your people, but to other people, it can be a very powerful thing. All right. Now, it can be posting on social media. It can also be engaging on social media. Angela, I don't know if you have an ideal client in mind who you really want to help and serve. Maybe it's a particular type of person, or maybe it's a particular type of industry, but you really want to think about, okay, I'm going to use an example. I really want to serve online business coaches. Right? I really connect with them. I like what they do. I like what they offer. That's who I want to serve. So the next thing is to think about, where are they hanging out? Like, I want to go where they're at, right? Is it Facebook? Is it Instagram? Is it LinkedIn? And really think about, where are those people hanging out? And that's where you want to show up. And that goes for any type of person, any type of industry. So no matter who you're serving, think about, where are they going? If they're on Facebook, are they in any type of specific groups? Find those groups, jump into those groups, engage with those groups. Don't go into those groups just to glean, right, and take all the information. Show up to show value. And that's the same on any platform. On Instagram, show up, engage, provide value. LinkedIn, show up, engage, and provide value. And you having those conversations and interacting with those people can be a powerful way for you to get clients. Now, I also know this from experience and working with so many of our students. Sometimes that first client comes very quickly, but sometimes it takes a little bit of grit and grind and hard work and tenacity. But those that keep going and don't give up are the ones that get over that first client hump, right? Serve their clients well. And then we see it over and over again. Naturally, referrals are one of the best ways that you can get clients. It's just getting over that initial first client hump. Great question, Angela. Thanks for kicking us off today. Let me scroll through. I know I saw some more questions. Oh, I have an HR background. Is the HRVA, and what are some of the services I can offer? Great question. Okay, what I want you to realize, everybody who's watching, is that no matter what type of experience that you have in life, whether it be inside of corporate or even outside of corporate, there are services and skills, gifts, talents, and abilities that are transferable to the online space. So what I want you to think about, and literally you can just take a piece of paper and a pen and sit down and think of all of the things that you've done in your corporate professional experience, or if you don't have that much to lean into, just general experience in life. I love organizing. I love doing my budget in Excel. I love responding to emails. I want you to start listing those things out and think about, okay, what does that look like and how could that be used in the online space? Do you want to continue inside of the HR type tasks? What could that look like? Okay, if you have, brick and mortar type experience or inside an office, you have to think there are businesses that are solely based on online and they need the same types of services, right? So you want to kind of look at what you've done, what you enjoy, and then consider who you want to work with and how you could be able to transfer that over. If you have examples or even questions of skills and tasks that you've done inside of HR, we can totally walk through that too. Just let me know in the comments. Maybe even think of what are 5 things you can think of right off the top of the bat that you would love to offer, and think through that. What I love about virtual assistants is that it doesn't matter where you've been or what you've done. You have transferable skills and services to offer in the online space. We just have to dig into it, ask ourselves some questions, and be able to identify. What I don't want you to do, okay, this goes for everybody, I don't want you to start from scratch, right? Like coming into this virtual assistant journey and thinking, okay, how do I make the most money quickly? Okay, or even just the most money. Oh, I could design websites. I don't even know how to design a website. Where do I start? I don't want you to do that, okay? I want you to start exactly where you are with what you can do right now. Okay, if I were to come to you today and say, Kayla or Angela or Jaylene or Audrey, I need your services. What can you offer me today? I want you to think of what would you say in that moment. What could you do? It's probably not going to be design a website unless that's your, if you already know how, right? Oh, I could offer data entry. I could offer customer service. I could offer fill in the blank. That's where I want you to think of, and that's where I want you to start. Does that mean that that's where you're going to end and that's your forever journey? No, but it gets you started right where you can right away, because what's our first goal? To get a client to say yes, to start building a business. All right, great question. All right, let me keep scrolling through. Ooh, Audrey says that I'd love to know your insights when starting out with general admin, when it's not necessarily your passion to do something like data entry. Girl, I totally get it. I am a creative person with drawing and skills in the arts who will likely be the most happy with creative services, but don't currently possess the knowledge to offer this yet as a virtual assistant. All right, Audrey, I'm going to take this down so it doesn't fill up my screen. I would actually push a little bit up against that you don't have, what did we say? We don't have the skills or possess the knowledge. I would push against that and say, I don't know if that's 100% accurate. It may be, okay, that we don't know how to use specific platforms or tools, but if you have a passion for it, you have skills, drawing skills in the arts, you have an understanding, okay, behind the scenes of how that can look. So how can we transfer that over? Okay, maybe it's coming in and looking and auditing images and giving suggestions, right? As you're learning, I want you to think outside the box. Where can I start today? What I don't want you to do is jump in to something that you don't like to do, like data entry, right? Because that will squish your energy and squish that fire. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to jump into something that you love and something that you want to be doing, even with what you can start offering right now. All right, so what I want you to do is think of maybe even inside the general admin space, what could be some things that you could do that's creative and helpful. All right, think on that for a minute. Let me know if you have any other questions or even sparks of ideas in the comments, and we can keep talking about that. Hey, Fabrizia, good to see you. So excited that you are here with me today. All right, Carrie, this is a long one. I don't know if I can see the whole thing. If there's more, let me know, Carrie. I was about to register my LLC in California. I love my business name and had created tons of things in Canva with it and got my Facebook business page. I'd already checked the name NCA and it was available, and I checked for the URL. Fortunately, yesterday I learned that it was registered in 3 other states. Very disappointing. I'm wondering if I should change my name. It took me a while to finally decide on this name, and I really like it, so would have to give it up, but wondering. Okay, so if I'm understanding, it's registered in the state, in 3 other states, but it's not registered in California. So to be quite frank and honest, I don't know what the rules are and regulations if it's registered in one state, but not another. What you want to make sure, though, that you are able to get, it says you can get the URL. Or you could not get the URL. You want to make sure that nothing is trademarked. Okay, that's another thing that you want to check. You can check, what is it called? Trademarkia, I think is what it's called. But you want to make sure that nothing is trademarked, because that would be a big no-no, right? And you want to check to make sure that you can get all of the assets, the URL, the social names, and things like that. And it may come down to that you do have to make a shift. But if you have to make a shift, is there anything that's close to or similar, depending on if something's trademark or if something's registered, you may be able to shift just a little bit. The other thing to check too is what industry it's inside of. Okay, if it's inside of, this is a drastic example, but inside of the plumbing industry, there may be, you may be able to still have that name inside of the virtual assistant or in the support industry. So some additional things to check out. But I will always say it's safer to lean on the safe side than risk building all of these things and making all these decisions and then having to give it up too as well. Great question. Gina says, is it a good idea to offer a discount on any package for 1 month or more to entice new clients? I'm a new virtual assistant focusing on Pinterest and email management. Great question, Gina. I'm going to jump on a soapbox for just a hot second. Okay. I am not a fan, and we are not fans of discounting here at the Virtual Savvy. We don't encourage it. But I will say sometimes at the very beginning or maybe during a specific season, you know, like certain sale seasons that we naturally cycle through in our country and across the world, you could offer a very slight discount. I'm talking like 5%, 10%, but I don't want you to make a regular habit of it. Okay. Even at the beginning of when you're first serving new clients, I wouldn't recommend it. Own who you are, own what you offer, and put it out there into the world. What I definitely don't want you to do, and this goes for everybody watching, is to offer your services for free, okay, at the very beginning. Don't do that, okay? The client probably isn't going to be the best client for you. Not in all cases, but in some cases. All right. And you don't want to get into the habit of offering those discounts, whether it's free, please don't do that, or whether it's discounted. I would highly recommend you just get out there and you start serving people at the rate that you have decided. And if you do want to do a slight discount, you can. I wouldn't slash it dramatically. I would just do a slight discount if you're going to do that. Another thing that you could do, Gina, is if you had, let's say you have 3 different packages, and I don't know what your packages look like. Okay, know that you're doing Pinterest and email management. You could say, here's my first package at this rate. My second package is at this rate, which is a 5% discount. And if you get the biggest package, you actually get a 10% discount off of the hourly rate or something like that. Don't follow those numbers exactly, but you could do that. I've seen that done. I don't do that. I'm not a big fan of it, but it does work and it can work. So there's some options too. And for all questions that I'm asking, I know that I'm kind of just scrolling through from top to bottom. If you have follow-up thoughts or questions, we can totally engage in a conversation as well too. BB Gaines, is it possible to get a client as a new proofreader or copywriter? Absolutely. A big industry that is rising in our virtual space is Amazon writers that just write on, oh my, I just said the word and my little device heard me. So we'll see if it talks back. But absolutely, that is a great space to get into. I was actually just reading a book on my electronic device, and it was all about a freelancer who offers editing services, proofreading services. So 100% you can get out there. And just like I was talking or answering a question earlier, look at the authors or the people that you would want to work with and consider where they're hanging out. Where are they engaging? And go hang out where they are and talk about your services. Awesome. Oh, I see the BBO becoming a booked out virtual assistant. I'm still laughing that I forgot that. Oh, good times. Thanks, Kayla, our team member, for posting that in the comments. Okay, here's another question. How can I actually practice the task that I offer if I don't have any clients? I know the basics, but want more experience. I would love to know what specific task you're thinking of, because that can point me in the direction. Now, let's talk. I'll just give you some examples. Okay, so graphic design inside of Canva. Canva offers a free account. You can sign up for Canva, jump in there, and practice the task. Okay. Building out systems. This is a little bit of a higher one, but it's coming to my mind. Building out systems like a CRM, like Dubsado or Honeybook. They also have free trials that you can do. So you can jump in and test the things and learn how to do the things as you're learning the platform or learning the tool or learning the skill. So depending on what the specific task is and what platforms or tools you would be using, look for opportunities for free trials and ways to try out how to do the things. I was actually just talking to some of my directors on my team about this yesterday. We all learn differently. Right? Some of us are visual learners. Some of us are auditory learners. Some of us are tactile learners. Okay. Some of us are a mix of the three. You have to understand and know how you learn the best to be able to capture the information, remember the information, and then duplicate the information, right? And sometimes, and for my directors, this was the case, is that they learn the best by actually going and doing the thing. You can tell me that this is the process. You can tell me and show me that this is what it looks like. But until I actually jump in and do the thing, I don't necessarily connect to it. I am very much a mix of visual and tactile. So when I'm making a list, or even in college when I was learning, writing notes, and then when I would go to study, rewriting notes was the way that I would learn and I would study, right? And so figuring out what your best learning style is, looking at the tasks that you want to learn, and then looking at the tools and platforms that are available for you to practice those tasks are a great thing to do. Great question. I'm just scrolling down here in order. Fabrizia is one of our amazing student members. She's been inside of Savvy System. She's inside of Savvy Vault, and she also went through our group coaching program, Savvy Circle. So happy to have you here, my dear. How do I calculate my rates to determine a package for individualized service for legal admin work? I am more specialized in marketing, but took this client on because I like the new niche, legal admin. So essentially I want to offer a package as a beginner and charge fairly. Great question, Fabrizia. I would I would recommend that you start at the hourly rate. Executive assistants would probably range between 35 and upwards of 50 if it's real niche and real specialty an hour. But as a newbie, I might recommend that $35, $40 an hour mark, maybe even slightly lower at 30, depending on where your comfort level is. And then I would do packages of hours until you really have a good grasp and understanding of how long certain tasks are going to take. Then I would recommend tracking those hours and doing hourly packages. And then eventually, if it's the right move for you to make, then you could go into flat rate or retainer type packages as well. Great questions. Oh, awesome. Okay, so we were talking about HR, right? So all the tasks. What I want you to do is write down all the tasks, maybe not all of them, okay? But brain dump those tasks. And then I want you to take a pen. It could even be red or a different color. And I want you to cross out the ones that don't excite you, that don't bring you joy, and that you would actually dread doing if you had to do it. Okay, we had an example earlier of data entry. I do not want to do that. Cross that out. All right. And go through and circle the ones that you like. And that's where I want you to start with what types of services that you can offer. Great questions. Oh, Angela, thank you. I'm so glad that this is helpful. Okay, here's another one. I realize, also, here's my forehead. Hi, I'm still here. I realize this is probably an it depends question. Hey, I love it. But I've seen so many people in the group talk about how they are starting while continuing with their full-time jobs. It's no joke. So many of our people are still working 9 to 5. In fact, if you are still working your 9 to 5 while trying to start your own virtual assistant business, put me in the comments because I know it's a large portion of our audience. And it's no joke. Like, it's hard work. And they are working on their virtual business, doing jobs evenings and weekends. Is it typical that virtual assistant jobs can be completed at any time, nights or weekends? I do have a semi-flexible full-time job, but I could not take a virtual assistant job if they require me to be someplace every day at certain times. Does that question make sense? Yes, and it's not actually fully a it depends type of an answer. A little bit, but a little not. Okay, so is it typical for virtual assistant jobs to be completed anytime, anywhere? Anywhere, 100%. Anytime, that's where the depends, it depends kind of comes into play, right? Because it really is going to factor into what are the tasks. The other important thing that I want to, mention here is if you are coming into the position of virtual assistant as a contractor, that business owner cannot legally dictate when you show up. All right. They cannot require you to be there 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's an employee status. All right. Now, if you are coming in as an employee, even in the virtual capacity, then they do have a little bit more rein that they can pull. But if you're coming in as a contractor, they cannot legally tell you when or even how you work or where you work. They can have requests and they can ask if this is possible, but they cannot require you to do that, okay? So tasks. When you're looking at getting started, especially when you're working in the 9 to 5, and depending on if you have a flexible or non-flexible schedule, you really want to look at the services that you can offer with the time that you have. Okay, so one of the first exercises that you can do is to determine what's the time frame that I have available, right? You're probably not going to have 40 hours a week to be able to give to your virtual assistant business. Okay, maybe you have 5, maybe you have 10 if you worked on the weekends as well as the evenings. And figuring out what is that capacity that you have. That's one of the first things that you need to do. And the second thing is to determine what are the tasks, A, that you can offer right now, and B, the tasks that can fit into those timeframes. Okay, so if you work a 9 to 5 and you really don't have a lot of flexibility, or maybe even just a little bit of flexibility, probably answering customer service emails are not going to be the best service for you to start at. Okay. I'm going to use the good old data entry example for today. All right. That probably isn't attached to a certain time frame of when that needs to be done. It's a little bit more project based. So could you do it in the evenings? Could you do it on the weekends? Sure. This project just needs to get done. What about the proofreading and the editing that we had earlier in today's conversation? That's another great example of something that can be done not in the confines of a typical daytime job. Social media, creating and scheduling, right? Content writing. Those are different types of services that aren't constrained to a specific time frame of when you need to be available. So if you are still working your 9 to 5, what you do first, figure out the time allotment that you have available to serve clients while still working your 9 to 5, and what are the services that you can offer inside of those time frames. I am going to put up a link, and Kayla can drop it in the comments as well. Check out this training that we have, thevirtualsavvy.com/resignation roadmap. This is an amazing training that Abby and I put together. It's a 4-part training. There is a small cost. It's $7, okay, but you get access to the 4 trainings. It's over an hour of training, and then we give you some deliverables alongside of it. We give you a resignation calculator, and we give you some other really cool things. We give you a workbook to work through it with us. But it walks you through working your 9 to 5 and starting your own virtual assistant business. And it's an amazing, amazing resource. So check that out. Kayla will put the link in the comments for y'all as well. Great questions. Keep them coming. Oh my goodness. Okay, where was I? Trademark, yeah. Thank you, Bernadette, for following up with that. If you need to check if your business name is trademark, or maybe even a name of a product that your client wants to create, check out Trademarkia. Make sure that it's not trademark for legal purposes. Awesome. All right. Next question. How can I sell my skill set when they want VA experience? I currently work with an environment that doesn't micromanage and knows I will get the job done. Great question. And sometimes we are hesitant to put ourselves out there because we don't have the experience. I know this is not going to be the most appreciated and loved answer, but sometimes those that are so picky about the experience aren't going to be the ideal client for you. Been in the industry for 5 years, okay? Abby's been in longer, and our team, some have been here longer as well. We have seen it time and time and time again. There are a vast amount of virtual assistant jobs out there, and people are ready to hire people who are ready to do the work despite experience. Now, that isn't to say there are some positions, some services that do need to have some kind of experience in some form or fashion. Okay. Now, the best example that I can give is my own personal example. When I started virtual assistants, I started again with general admin, things that I could offer right away. I was offering Facebook group management. I was offering basic Canva designs because I'm not a graphic designer, y'all, but I could at least create a design to put into a group, and it was fine. And I was offering those types of services. Inside of my networking and connecting, I met some amazing people, and a job opportunity came across my plate from somebody that I was connecting with, and it was for an executive virtual assistant job. I did not have experience as an executive virtual assistant. Where did my experience come from? I was a teacher. I taught kindergarten for 2 years. And so that's kind of where my experience was. But being an executive assistant, I'd never done anything like that before. And so I was faced with a decision. Am I going to go after this amazing opportunity of something I would love to get into, or am I going to shy away and not push through because of my fear or anxiousness or lack of experience? Well, long story short, I pushed through. I was completely honest inside of that experience. That's another thing to make mention of, is to be honest and be upfront. Sometimes people aren't there to hire the most experienced person. Sometimes they just want to really connect with that person. So I jumped into the interview process. I had my first interview with an assistant of some kind on my client's team. And we talked about who I was, talked about my experience. I talked about being a teacher, talked about starting my business, right? Talked about the job op. I mentioned I don't have experience in all of the platforms, but I have the desire and the drive to figure it out. Well, those conversations opened the door for the next conversations, and I got the job. I didn't have experience being an executive assistant, but putting myself out there, being honest, being willing to put in the hard work to learn the job and learn some of the platforms that that client was using got my foot in the door. And it was one of the best decisions that I ever made, was to put myself out there, because that opened the door to completely pivoting my business away from general admin, going into executive assistance. And I got referrals, and I was able to grow and scale my business based on that one decision to show up, be myself, and be honest and express. I may not know all the things, and that's okay, but I'm willing to learn. Let's be honest. Nobody, as a virtual assistant, is ever going to learn all the things and be able to earn and offer and learn all the services. It's not possible, right? But if you have the desire and the drive to learn and figure something out, what we like to call here at the Virtual Savvy, figure it outedness, it's not in the dictionary, but it should be. It's in our dictionary, right? Figure outedness is one of the most strongest characteristics that you can have as a virtual assistant. Show up, be yourself, be honest, and people will see that and people will hire you. Woo! Okay, that was a rant for a minute. Awesome. Okay, next question. Thank you for your insight. Awesome. Audrey, you are very welcome. I'm thinking maybe using Canva to create design for flyers or invitation with sounds much more fun than data entry. There you go. That's perfect. Like looking at how you can take the skills that you have and offer something right now. Now, how do I present this service without experience? We just talked about that in the last question. I'm curious about what you mentioned with reviewing photos. Yeah, so like if you have an eye for the arts and you have an eye for what looks good and what doesn't look good, like absolutely you could offer that. Maybe you connect with a photographer who needs help editing photos. Don't know if you have the skills in that. Just start thinking outside of the box and what you could offer right now. Great questions. Doing a portfolio, Facebook user asks, what is your suggestion to showcase when there's been no clients yet showing your skills? Great question. Okay, first of all, there is a live in our archives, and I say archives just because it's been a while since we did it, that Abby and I did together. I think it's living on YouTube, all about what to include in your portfolio. So you can totally go over to our YouTube channel and search for that, watch that. It's a great live that Abby did. Abby and I did, I think, together. But let's talk about this now too as well. I can give you some tips and tricks. No client, that's okay. No testimonials. That's okay. You can still build an amazing portfolio. What I like to say is, based on your skills, what you're offering, if you can create examples or mock-ups that are translated in a visual way, you can create those just for fun and just for practice to put in your portfolio. All right, great examples of things that translate. Social media images, Pinterest pins, even an image of a newsletter, okay? Audrey was talking about flyers or invitations. Like if you have mock-ups of those that you've created or that you can create, simply as an example, you can use those in your portfolio for sure. Now, when it comes to services like email management and data entry, sometimes those don't necessarily translate well in a visual way. What I don't want you to do is just have an example to have an example. Think of ways that you can communicate what you do without necessarily showing them if they don't translate well. Maybe you just have something that says somewhere in your portfolio, I have over 10 years of experience with using Excel or Google Sheets. or doing data entry, or proofreading and editing. Maybe you use the names and the logos of platforms and tools that you've used, like Excel, Google Sheets, or other platforms that you use. I have experience and use these different platforms. And again, that would translate in a visual way where showing a document that you may be editing doesn't necessarily translate well, right? So look at your services. What translates well in a visual representation? Can you create some mock-ups or some examples that aren't necessarily directly client related to put them into your portfolio? And if you don't have examples, that's okay too, right? You don't have to have examples in your portfolio to have a good portfolio. All right. Now, I did mention testimonials. I would be amiss if I didn't also say this. Okay. I did not have testimonials starting out. Many of you aren't going to have client testimonials when you start out. I would recommend that you reach out to friends, former coworkers, former employers, and ask them for a character reference. People hire people, and sometimes just hearing that Rachel is an amazing worker, if she doesn't know something, she puts her heart into figuring out the answer or a solution. Sometimes hearing that type of a testimonial, or what we like to call character reference, can speak louder and be more powerful, or just as powerful as if a client says, Rachel showed up and did great work. I would totally recommend to hire her. Okay, so as you're starting out, you can use character references in place of testimonials until you get some more testimonials of actual work that you've done to put into your portfolio. Great questions. Dana says, what do you recommend one should respond to someone who is accustomed to paying after services are rendered as opposed to prior? Great question. Don't make it complicated. This is my policy. And I know that that's like short, sweet, and to the point, but that really is the case. You're protecting yourself and the work that you're going to put in. And so if you have decided that payment is due before services are rendered, then those are your policies. And if the client's not willing to accept that, then it may not be the right client to work with, because they may push back on some of your other policies, right? On when and how you work, how you respond, how you communicate. So just communicate that this is my policy. This is how I protect myself from the work that I'm going to put forward, and remind them too that you have a contract in place. Okay, so that's going to protect them and their investment and the work that you're going to do for them as well. So whenever you get questions or pushback like this, you want to look for ways to spin it in a positive light towards the client, right? In this instance, they're putting up money, and it's going to feel risky if they've never done that before to put money up before the services are done. But you let them know that's why you have a contract in place, to protect their investment and to guarantee that you're going to deliver the work that you have promised. Okay, so whenever you get pushback or objections or even questions, look for the ways to positively spin it into their direction, not necessarily making it all about you. Yes, these are your policies and this is what you've decided, but you also want to look for those opportunities to spin it positively in their direction. So many good questions. Oh my goodness, I hope we get to them all. Okay, I still got a good amount of time. Jennifer asks, what are the best resources to learn about the need of Amazon copywriters? Oh, this would be an industry-specific question that I don't think that I actually have the answer to. So a good little Google search might be of the best interest for you, Jennifer. Just typing in, here's something. I was looking up last night on how to sell on Amazon. I just had a couple of questions for a friend who has some inventory of collectibles that they're looking to sell. And I said, I wonder if you could do it on Amazon. They're new in box. And so I'm sure that if you just Googled that, you could find out some great information as well. Angela says, I am not Canvas savvy. How should I go about creating my 3 tiers for pricing? Okay, Angela, what I want you to think about is what are the specific deliverables inside? When you're looking at design specific, what I don't want you to do is penalize yourself as you get more efficient and proficient and really, really good at what you do, more so than what you already are. All right, so I don't want you to price by the hour. I would consider pricing by the deliverables if you're just doing design work. So what I want you to think about is if you're going to design a flyer, okay, it's a trifold flyer. I'm using the template inside of Canva. The client's going to give me all of the assets like logo and the color code. So I'll have all that information. It's probably going to take me a good 2 hours to create in Canva, but then there's going to be revisions. Decide on how many revisions ahead of time and communicate that to the client. Make sure you do that. Then you can come up with a flat rate based on your hourly rate. All right. No, you're not going to charge them by the hour, but you use that hourly factor or that hourly figure in creating your flat rate. The other thing you want to consider too, yes, it's maybe only take you 2 hours to create in Canva, but think of the back and forth communication, think of the times to revision, and you want to make sure that you cushion that flat rate price enough to cover the time that's going to take you to do that. So I don't necessarily know, Angela, without knowing all the moving pieces of what you're looking to offer, if 3 tiers is going to be the best option for you versus prices starting at and then having, you know, a starting at rate of maybe you do packages of this many graphics or, you know, this many templates. I want you to think of it in terms of that versus 3 tiers as if you were doing like 3 hourly packages to choose from. Does that make sense? Let me know if you have any other questions. Shout out to Kayla for dropping some amazing links inside of the chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. Tennille, I hope that I said your name correctly, and if I didn't, please, all the grace and forgiveness. I have never done virtual assistant work before, but I want to start. Yay! I'm so glad that you're here. My skill set is more detail-oriented, data entry, organization, etc. How can I get started as a VA with 0 experience? With just those things, data entry, organization, etc. What I want you to do, again, is think about what can I offer right now? If Rachel were to come to me and say, I need your services, what can you offer me? What would you tell me? Like, what would come out of your mouth as your services? And that's where I want you to start. You do have experience because what does your sentence say? My skill set. You have experience and you know how to do certain things. That's where I want you to start. What you have to think through is, okay, I have experience doing data entry. How do I now translate that into the virtual space and working with a client virtually versus in the office and having somebody come to my cubicle or having come to my office, right? You just have to look and analyze what that's going to look like. But you already have a skill set. What is that experience and where can you start? What can you offer? Yeah, I see all the me's in the comments. That's where I am inside of the chat, right? That kind of helps you gauge where I am. Lots of y'all are working your 9 to 5. I see you. I hear you. I know it takes grit and grind and extra effort to be able to do that. It does for everybody starting virtual assistants, but I know that there's that extra level when you're still working your 9 to 5. I totally hear that. Monica says, I come from a background of writing shorthand. Oh, fabulous. I'm struggling with my creative writing skills. Any suggestions? Great question, Monica. Actually, if you jump over to our Savvy Vault, if you're not a member of Savvy Vault, we have an amazing course. I think we actually have 2 courses in there on copywriting. amazing courses. So Savvy Vault is our tech membership. We have over 70 courses on tech tools, platforms, and systems, but we also have niche training inside of there too, and copywriting is one of them. And I know the course instructor personally. She's absolutely amazing and one of the best writers that I know. So you could totally jump in if you don't already have access at the monthly rate, take those courses, stay as long as you want, or you can cancel and come back anytime. We also have an annual option, and we also have a lifetime option as well. So I would totally check that out. Find somebody that you know, like, and trust that you can spend time with and learn from. And that's one of the best ways outside of just practicing as well. How do I outreach and increase my email list when I am a beginner VA for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and coaches? Who should be targeted first? Great question. So what you want to think of is your ideal audience. Okay, you've already kind of identified them, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, as niche down as you can get as possible. Okay, you can be broad, but I want you to think of what are some of their pain points. What are they looking for? What do they need help with? And what value can I bring to the table? One of the best things that you can do is start an email list right away. What I don't want you to do is put energy into growing your email list if you don't already have clients and are working with your clients, okay? Very important that I want to bring home. Is it a good idea to start an email list early on in your journey? Yes, 100%. But what I don't want you to do is focus on building your email list before you focus on getting clients and working with clients. I want you to do that first and put your energy towards that. Okay. And then once you're working with clients and you understand what some of their pain points are, you can create a freebie, or also known as an opt-in, something that helps and serves and provides value to your ideal audience for them to download, to use, to learn from, that captures them into your audience, into your email list, right? That's one of the most important things in having an online business, is being able to provide value to others. And that can be in your interactions, in just conversations. It can be in your engagement on social media. It can be in things that you create and put out into the world. It can be just the way that you interact and serve your clients. Providing value is one of the most important things that's going to provide success for you. If you heard me earlier say, once you get your first client and your second, it's more likely than not that you're going to start to get referrals and people talking about you and saying how amazing your services are. And referrals can be, and usually is, the number one way to get new clients. And how do you get referrals? Showing up and showing value, and providing amazing support out there, whether it's for a client or whether it's through things that you put out into the world. Oh, I love this one. I'm on my lunch break. Awesome. I hope you have your headphones in. Oh, so good. Oh, I hear you. I can no longer work a full-time job outside of my home because of my anxiety. That's why I joined the Virtual Savvy. I'm so grateful. And BB, we are so grateful for you. And so glad that you have found a space, a safe space where you can learn and grow and make this virtual assistant business a reality for you. If you don't have much money, what could be the most necessary course from you to purchase? I'm thinking of the contract regarding the price, getting paid, and delivering service. Thanks. Awesome question. Okay, we have several small bite, what I like to call them, small bite products that can help you get started. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the checklist, the VA checklist. You can find that link right on the homepage of our website. Our BBO training, that link is already inside of the comments as well. That talks about marketing. It's a 60-minute training all about marketing. Those are 2 freebies that we offer. You can also jump over to the Virtual Savvy. I'm giving you lots of links. thevirtualsavvy.com/swag. There's a bunch of really cool downloads there as well that can help you get you started. But there is the Virtual Assistant Quick Start Kit, and you can find this again on our website under the store section. Okay, so we have the VA Quick Start Kit, which takes that checklist and amps it up just a little bit. That's a great product. We also have the complete onboarding system that walks you through how to onboard your new clients. That's a great product as well. And then the toolbox. If you've been around for any amount of time here at the Virtual Savvy, we say over and over again, always, always, always have a contract in place. All right, so you want to make sure that you are protecting yourself and your clients, right? So the toolbox is a great thing to have, because our toolbox was created by our own attorney who understands the virtual assistant space and created an amazing template for both you and clients, and for you and potential subcontractors that you may work with in the future. So there's some quick resources for you to check out on our website, free and paid at a lower cost. Joan, great question. What does the term no fixed hours mean under a job description? That means that it's open-ended on how many hours they're going to need help with. So just make sure as you are jumping into this potential job op that you understand clearly what is expected as far as deliverables, as well as how the pay structure is going to work, when and how you're going to be paid. They may not know how many hours, and also it could also mean no fixed hours, like 9 to 5. Now, if you're coming as a contractor, that doesn't matter anyway, because they can't tell you 9 to 5. So it could be one or the other. I think it's probably the first one, where it's going to be 10 hours a week every week. It's going to fluctuate a little bit. Just make sure you ask all the questions that you need to make sure that you understand clearly what the agreement is between the two of you. Oh, shout out. I did the resignation roadmap and knew I needed more. It was a great program. Thank you so much. That means so much to myself, and if I can speak for Abby as well. I love that training. It's so, so good. It's meaty. It takes you through some actionable steps. And there's options of, continuing on with support with other products that we have as well, but it's a great place to start. And it's just $7. So check that out. What time are we at? Okay. Oh, I've got 5 minutes left, y'all. It shows I have 100 people hanging out with me. I'm so glad that you're here with me today. I love this. Like I said earlier, this is one of my best lives, because I don't have to come with an agenda. Y'all create the agenda for me. Is it a best practice to receive payment prior to services provided? I prefer that way. Many of our virtual assistants prefer it that way. It just kind of depends on what you want to do and what the services that you're offering, especially if they're deliverables, things that you're creating online, or ongoing services. Sometimes it is best practices to get paid before, but sometimes it may not be, and that's completely up to you. That's a personal decision that you get to make. Again, one of the best things about starting your own virtual assistant business is that you get to create the business that you love, doing what you love, where you love, and with who you choose. You get to make all of those choices. Do I get paid prior? Do I get paid after? Do I get paid hourly? Do I get paid a flat rate? Am I going to offer data entry, or no, heck not, I'm going to offer data entry? It's completely up to you. You get to make those choices. Oh my goodness. How am I going to choose? One more question. Lots of helpful links in the comments. Shout out again to Kayla. Thank you so much for your help and support today. Oh, okay. Here we go. Since we were talking about contracts, I will wrap up with this question. And then I have one question for you before we leave. All right. Do you know if the legal contract from Virtual Savvy also needs to be looked at by a lawyer depending on the state you live? I'm in Texas. Shout out, Lisa. I'm in Texas too, just south of Austin and just north of San Antonio. If you know Texas, you might know where I am. But absolutely. So I'm not going to say a hard, fast yes or no. do know that our contract was designed by our attorney for virtual assistants. So it's had those professional eyes on it. What I don't want y'all to do is to jump into our favorite search engine and just ask for a free contract. Please don't do that. I want you to be protected. I even want your clients to be protected. All right, so know that you can trust these contracts. And if you purchase the toolbox from us, you can even reach out to the attorney who developed the contract to ask contract specific questions about the contract she created, right? You cannot go and ask her free legal advice, but you can ask her questions about the contract. So if you make any changes, then I would recommend that, yes, you have somebody look it over. For those of you who don't live in the United States, our contract is, you could still use our contract, but it was developed with the US in mind. So you want to make sure if you live outside of the US, Canada, Europe, anywhere else, that you have the contract looked at by somebody local to you to make sure that you are protected as well for yourself and your clients. All right, y'all, it has been truly an honor and privilege to be with you today in the place of the amazing, beautiful, fabulous Abbey Ashley. I would love to know in the comments what was most helpful for you today. What are you walking away from today's live knowing that you didn't know before, or being encouraged about, or being challenged to do? I would love to know in the comments before we head out. This is helpful for us to see. It's also helpful for you to just kind of accept that and receive that, and then move forward in whatever that is, whether it's something that you learned, something that you were encouraged with, or something that you were challenged with. So let me know in the comments before you head out what was most helpful for you today. No matter where you are inside of your virtual assistant journey, whether you just found out about virtual assistants and you have no idea what it means and you're exploring, whether you've learned about it, you've purchased products from us or from somebody else, and you're starting out in this journey, you've decided your name, you're talking about it, you're deciding your services, and you're getting ready to launch, or whether you're growing, maybe even you're scaling your business. Every one of us have things that we're going to come up against that we don't know, that we don't understand. What I want you to do is find that safe space that you can learn from, that you can engage with. And I hope that it's here at the Virtual Savvy, but it may be somewhere else. That's totally fine. But I want you to keep investing in yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and if I dare say, a CEO. Because when you start your own business, that is exactly what you are. All right, some quick things. Angela is writing down what I want to offer and what I enjoy. I love that. Sonia says, I'm at work and we're able to get the links later. Yes, they'll be in the comments. No worries. There were golden nuggets throughout, but the contracts jumped out at me. Awesome. You can check out our toolbox and information about the contracts on our website. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you all a very happy rest of your day. And we will not be live next week. Next week is the 4th of July, and we will be out of the office celebrating. Our team will be, so no live next week, but we will see you the following week, Tuesday at noon Central. We'll see you there. Bye-bye.